with your thoughts on a bunch of macros and micros. The market's continuing to maintain that positive stance, 0.5% higher on the Sensex and the Nifty and 0.75% higher on the mid caps. Bank Nifty lost a little bit of its elan.
But we're getting a bit hungry, so let's invite the management of Jubilant FoodWorks now to tell us about how the quarter has been. Ajay Kaul, the CEO of the company, joins in, as usual, every quarter to tell us whether demand has picked up or not. Hi Ajay, good morning. Good to see you in. It's been a disappointing quarter, at least as far as the estimates are concerned, and this 4.6% same-store sales growth has not gone down very well with the street. Have things picked up at all, or do you think that the demand continues to be sluggish?
Good morning to you and your viewers. You know, as far as we are concerned, I think the situation in the market is probably no different from what it was a quarter back. So it may sound kind of cliched because we say this every time. Our performance compared to our honorable opposition, you know, and you know the names, it may still stand out. Like 4.6 versus some people who have delivered -11, -5 and so on may look good. But it is more cosmetic. Honestly, at a consumer sentiment level, and when you aggregate it across the industry, we are not seeing, you know, any changes at all as far as consumer sentiments is concerned. We believe 4.6, while compared to a 6.6 which we did previous quarter, and that probably, you know, is a bit of disappointment for the market. It's still not a bad number given the micro status of the environment. And we believe that some good product launches which we did, some outstanding execution we believe we did, obviously supporting a more broad-based strategy which we have been following for some time, has still brought us to a number which is respectable, 4.6. Though I do agree that because we did 1.9% in the 2 quarters back, and last quarter we did 6.6, despite all conservative and statements like these which I make, the market, I don't know what do they expect of us, and that sometimes baffles us. But we believe 4.6 is not a bad number. You can't call it disappointing. Well, yes, it may not be as good as it was in the previous quarter.
Okay, the market in this studio expects affordable, tasty pizzas. Is that too much to ask? Okay.
No, not at all. I mean, we continue delivering crores or millions, several millions of tasty pizzas, and that's why they keep coming back to us. And the emotional, I mean, and that's something which I always stress on. The emotional connect which we have with our customers, when we do any survey, independently or even outside, you know, our scores are always the highest.
Okay. Well, what about margins? One would have thought that you would improve over there. EBITDA margins, aren't costs more under control?
Indeed, they are. It's a good question, Lata. You know, inflation, I must admit, in a tough environment like this, which used to be a worry last year, has come down in general. So food inflation is in control, and that should give us some positive, you know, points. However, you know, when we look around, you know, as far as, you know, labor inflation is concerned, when we look around at some of the utilities, and I'm not talking of oil here, clearly there we are not getting, you know, the real benefits. At 4.6% same-store growth, your aggregated weighted average, you know, inflation has to be 4.6 or lesser. The moment it is more, it tends to eat away into your margins. So on one hand, food inflation has given us some positive, you know, I would say positive areas. But at the same time, the general inflation on some of the other counts, especially labor, and you know, we have 30,000 employees, it offsets, and as a result, you probably do not see, you know, that getting leveraged on our P&L. Our EBITDA margin still stands at around 12.3, 12.4%, which is a shade inferior to the previous quarter, although it is similar to what we delivered exactly a year back.
Okay. Fair enough. Just coming back to the same-store sales growth, I agree that, you know, the worst for the company or the industry seems to be over, but demand revival is still pending. So what is the sense you're getting about when you will be able to get back to double-digit same-store sales growth? How many quarters would it take, you think?
I would reckon at around 4 quarters from now, which is almost a year, you know, it should take us to reach a high single-digit, double-digit, which we can confidently say we can repeat, you know, quarter after quarter. While 6.6 and 4.6 probably are kind of trending in that direction, and you may argue why not earlier than 4 quarters, we believe the sentiment, you know, which has to show a positive slope and a good slope that too, so that it hits a double-digit or a high single-digit number fast, is not showing at all. is what I'm saying regretfully. And and especially when we look around in the industry, if some of the other players, who are our honorable opposition, we are also growing at 5, 7, 8, 9%, then that would have told us that at an aggregate level there is some buoyancy. But when you see negative numbers and consistency coming after quarter, doesn't augur well for the industry.
Okay. Well, a lot of your unbranded guys don't put out their numbers, the chaatwalas and the pani puri walas. So some of your opposition is actually not in the reckoning in terms of numbers. No, I was joking. Ajay, what I wanted to know was, is there intercity differences? You are best placed to tell us, is Bangalore growing better than Mumbai? Is it, from there we can derive probably the IT city and certain sectors like that are not as badly off as the traditional economy?
See, what we can say, we do this, and we sometimes, paralyze ourselves with analysis. But honestly, to cut a long story short, because I can go on this subject for a long time, unfortunately, each one of these hypotheses, and we tested some 50+ hypotheses in terms of metro versus metro, metro versus non-metro, tier 1 versus tier 2 versus tier 3, aging of the store, we have tried it always, in all possible fashions. What we realize is that there isn't statistically significant difference between each one of these tests that we perform. So what I'm saying in a nutshell is, it seems to be almost a countrywide phenomena, and not just in some pockets where maybe our execution is better, or maybe our competition's execution is better, and as a result the numbers reflect that way. So coming to the example of Bangalore versus Mumbai, they are by and large the same. However, what we are saying is that the delivery piece of our business seems to be doing better than our dine-in piece, and they are equally large today in terms of their size. So what it tends to tell us is that sitting at home in the convenience of their environment, their home environment, with no incremental costs and food arriving exactly in 30 minutes or less, I think customers realize that that is something which, as a discretionary spend, they don't want to rob themselves and their families of. However, stepping out, going to a mall, having some other, incremental costs also coming in, petrol costs, driving to the mall, parking, and maybe some, discretionary spend on a small t-shirt here or a small, apparel for their kid, that segment is clearly, showing a differential in terms of performance. So dine-in, or call it, consumed on-premise business is doing shade inferior than our delivery business.
Okay. So, how many stores do you plan to open, say, in the next 3 to 6 months? And earlier, I remember you mentioning that by the end of FY16, you plan to enter into 40 new cities. Will you continue with that target, or because demand has softened, you may sort of hold back on that expansion?
See, speaking as of today, as you rightly said by you, I think the worst is behind us, but the positivities are not visible. But that is not deterring us from entering new cities. The reason is, we like hawks watch these return on investment, payback period numbers and so on. And what we realize is that more often than not, our experiences in these new cities, or call it towns actually, not cities, is very good. So this quarter, for example, we have entered 12 new cities. So that's not a small number. We believe that by the end of this financial year, as we have been, saying in the past, we would open at least 150 Domino's stores and at least 30 Dunkin' Donuts stores. And if you look at quarter 1, we have opened 35 of Domino's and 5 on Dunkin'. And we are on course. So by the end of the year, to answer your city question, we believe, if not 40, we would definitely be entering upwards of 30 such cities and towns in India.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. But before that, Lata and me are very interested to know if there are any Independence Day weekend offers that are coming up.
Oh, most certainly. There are lots of offers which are in the market, and what we do is we micro-segment, and then we give the right stimuli to various groups of people. So there are a lot of offers at the ground level which are on right now, nothing at a broadcast, at a national level. But we do believe that, Independence Day, while it's falling on a Saturday this time, which is, not good, even in terms of an extra holiday, but for us also an extra holiday means extra business. But there are offers, and so enjoy your Independence Day, and wish you all a very happy Independence Day too.
Thanks, same to you, Ajay. I wonder in these group-specific orders if business television is identified as a specific group. Oh,
And if you ever want us, anyone to try, any group to try any of your new pizzas, you know where to send them,
Guinea
right?
pigs
Right
are
into
available.
the CNBCTV18 office.
All right. Thanks.
Absolutely. You should try that Italian range Vikas Khanna series. It's an outstanding, it has got outstanding recommendations from our customers. So please try that out over this.
We are willing to sample it for you. We offered ourselves as guinea pigs. Thank you very much.
Please send one across
Ajay.
whenever you can. Thanks, Ajay, for joining us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, that's the word coming in from Jubilant FoodWorks. Well, the stock, by the way, continues to be under pressure. So it's lost about 5.5 to 6% in 2 days post its numbers. It's been a weak set of numbers this quarter.
But you will have to say that the markets itself have held on most of the gains. It's still up 0.75% for the mid-cap space, and advanced declines continue to show about 2 in the gaining list for 1 in the declining list. So nothing bad for the markets, held on to the early morning gains. As we take a break, let's leave you with more opinion from Mark Farber.